Alright, so welcome to part 3. Hopefully you're getting the hang of the battle mechanics by this point if you've gotten this far. So I'd like to just go a little bit crazy. So let's see some things like having multiple units and then also having multiple souls on the same unit. So I'm going to start with this guy right here, Gerald Atricus. He doesn't like to be called Jerry because geriatricus reminds him how old he is. So yeah, a lot of bad puns, and getting old is just not fun. I've known some old people. I've had a couple of really old dogs, and it happens to everybody. If you last long enough, eventually that's where you end up. I'm going to add this as well. I'm not going to use a lot of Minnow Bison stuff, but he has the best bonus to health out of everybody. And Gerald Atricus has a penalty to health. You can investigate a unit that you've already built by going to unit info. And you see that these are what you invest into, and then this is what you get out of it compared to what you would as like a base value. So when you invest in a health, normally you'd get 100% of what you're supposed to. You only get 90%. But anytime you click this, you should get 15, but you only get 90% of that. And then there's rounding done as like a final thing. But if you go a little farther to the right, 3% of that 15 health points is added to his mana points. So the idea is you have to invest a lot into Gerald's health just to get sort of average numbers. But there's a payoff that you get mana points for free. So it's sort of siphoning off some health and giving you mana points. So you still want to invest in it. Mana is a little bit, as you can see, it costs 4 points just to raise it by one, and then it costs 8, and then it costs 12. There's escalating costs for raising any particular unit's uh, stats more than once. So usually it's too expensive to do it more than once, especially in the early game. But we got like a few points just from raising health. And well, does he really need that much mana? Yeah, he kind of does because let's look at unit info. I want to stay here, but I want to look at actions. Gerald Atricus has this ability called Storm Cloud. It when he casts it, it starts out weak. It does only 0.65 times magic. Two-thirds basically of his magic stat is damage to a completely random enemy. So the first time you cast it is not great, but there's a stacking bonus, which is an additional 0 0.1 to your base magic multiplier. So if you've invested, so if you've got like 30 base magic, then you get another 3 every time. And so not only that, but you get additional hits for the spell, but the additional hits are weaker. It's the first one does the full two-thirds. The second hit, if you've cast the spell, the second time you cast the spell, that you get the first and second hit, and the second hit is only half as strong as the original. The third time you cast, you get 3 hits. So you get full damage, half damage, and 1/3 damage. And there's a fourth hit that does 1/4 as much. So it actually does add up. It takes sort of a very it's pretty front loaded in the mountain. The first couple of hits count the most, but it all adds up, and raising your magic is an even stronger than maybe the more important benefit. And if you run out of mana, you're not totally sunk because you still have Homing Bolt, which makes use of all that magic. So if at the end of the fight you have like 50 or 60 magic, your Homing Bolts are going to hit pretty hard as well to sort of get you over the finish line. So that's Gerald Atricus. He's very greedy. He even has an ability where he can steal a mana point and 20% of his maximum health from an ally. So if he either takes a hit or he's just really low on mana, he can steal. In this case, it would be like he would steal like 30 health and 1 mana point from any ally. So he's selfish. He likes to guilt trip people, but if you buy him some time with a strong front line, uh, maybe even a support character, he will reward you. What I want to do is I want to showcase a pretty powerful combination. I'm going to have a strong front line, which is necessary, and I'm also going to have a support unit who's really, really good for Gerald Advocate. So this is going to be a pretty strong synergy. Brother Cantrip. He has a heal, which is a minor action, which is pretty cool. He can do other stuff. So you could invest heavily into magic, and then he could either, some turns he might heal, other turns he might want to do homing bolt. He can't do both in the same turn. But if you don't want to invest into him too much, you can just give him mana or mana potions to use his other ability, which is Inspire. So it uses his it takes a it uses his major action point, but it gives you consecutive turns back to back. It fills your action gauge. It refills your action gauge and then returns it again. Those turn points. So your team can basically take 2 or 3 consecutive turns for completely guaranteed, and it refunds an ally's major action at the cost of his major action. So this can be really, really powerful with Gerald Atricus. You can start stacking that Storm Cloud right away, and you can invest less heavily into Brother Cantrip, like a little bit of luxury magic, just in case you decide to heal somebody. And you can't afford to have him die on you. But if you want to just have him inspire Gerald Atricus over and over again, you can. The fact that heal and inspire, one is minor, the other one is major, there's no overlap. He could do both of these things every turn. So a little bit of magic just so his heals are not completely useless, and then he needs some mana points. But you don't need to crank his magic through the roof for that strategy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Brother Cantrip here. Uh, I might. Do I want to? I might even like. It's even viable to give him Life Horn, for example, because any unit who gives you mana just sort of passively is kind of nice. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to do Yolt, the Necromancer. Nah, he's too complicated. He deserves his own video all by himself. He's just crazy. Uh, all right. So what am I doing here? I think I'll do Penelope. Penelope also converts health into mana to some extent, so that's what I'm going to do. So I want to survive, and I want to have mana, but that's really all that Brother Cantrip really wants to do. Uh, and so I'll just leave it at that. Penelope's sort of backstory is that she's just a sorcerer, but because pants are so taboo, everyone just fixates on the fact that she wears pants. It's just that's how our society is. So everyone calls her a pants sorcerer, which if a man wears pants, he's just called a sorcerer. But she gets called a pants sorcerer. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I don't want to say too much more about that. She does have a passive ability. If she's going to take fatal damage, then there's this basic the mana barrier kicks in, and if she has enough, there's like a certain ratio that mana points are converted into health by some formula, and if you've got enough mana to save your life, then it'll save you. But otherwise, tough luck, you died. But moving on to the front line, Zombie Mozart. This is based on a pun. He used to be a great composer, but now he's a great decomposer. So I'm going to put him in the party. He has a unique passive. He has a pair that sort of come together, and when he deals damage to someone, instead of dealing 30 points instead of them losing 30 health right away, for example, they are poisoned for 30, and then you lose roughly 12% of that over the course of the round. It depends on whether you do minor or major action, and then there are like rounding errors, but roughly 12% of that per turn. So it's very slow, and then incoming damage is treated the same way. So this zombie Mozart tends to stay alive. You know for sure he's not just going to get blown up. Like if somebody hits him for 200 damage, well, what happens is instead he takes 200 poison, and you get a chance to. It gradually ticks down, and you get chances to heal before you actually decay, and I don't know what zombie. I guess they die yet again. So it'd be like a zombie within a zombie within a zombie at that point. Uh, this character does a lot of dying. Um, so there's natural synergy here with Baron von Sentry. Baron von Sentry has some unique scaling. That damage reduction and damage reflection is usually purely a matter of passive benefit on the defensive. Units are penalized for attacking you. But Baron von Sentry actually has two unique attacks that deal damage based on both of those. Advance, it it does not scale with melee at all. It only scales with damage reduction and damage reflection, but it bypasses the enemy's damage reduction and damage reflection. So that's an extremely reliable but not a high damage skill. And it also causes you to activate guard. So you spend your entire turn, major and minor actions, you block, you deal this nice, not huge, but this nice chunk of damage that's completely reliable, cannot be defended against. Uh, it's you still it's still a base. The targeting mechanism is the same as a melee attack. That's so you don't get free choice, but you do get this very consistent, irreduced, damage that cannot be reduced. And it scales off of damage reduction and damage reflection. It's going to be pretty strong in most situations. So special attacks that bypass damage reduction exist, and if that happens, they can hurt you more. And in general, it's very difficult to raise, you know, like if melee would increase by 4 when you invest, well, damage reduction only increases by 1. So usually you're going to get outscaled so that it's roughly 1/4 as you can only keep up with like 1/4, or maybe you're lucky, maybe half of the damage. Sure you can reduce that much, you can prevent that much damage, but not you can't prevent all the damage all the time. Is how that's supposed to work. Um, so it's a pretty balanced setup in terms of what souls I've got here. I've got a strong front line. I've got a support. If I wanted to invest more into magic, I could, and then this unit could cast some more spells. But really, what I really wanted was magic for Brother Cantrip to help out, to help Gerald Atricus take more turns more often. Let's see, Gerald. Oh, Gerald, I haven't raised your magic yet. Okay, I don't want to spend all my spirit points. I want to do some equipment and some consumables for sure. Without a question, I want magic staff on Gerald. I think Gerald actually has enough mana, but I'm gonna raise Brother Cantrip some mana, and then I'm gonna equip this item. So notice that the cost increases every time you invest. Mana points are a little bit expensive. They're sort of artificially over expensive because I just don't want that to really be a viable option. But that makes the blue ring more valuable. It costs the same amount as your first increase in mana, but if you want to increase it more than once, the blue ring is much more economical from that point on. So equipment, there's like limited supply, but usually it's very spirit point effective for what you're trying to do. Um, let's see, there's this staff of YOLO. What is it? Yeah, it's sort of a scale. It's like a multiplier that's beneficial to your magic, but detrimental to your damage reduction. But that's fine. He didn't really want to. He's not really supposed to take hits anyway. But because of the staff at YOLO, if I invest into damage reduction, wow, I even get mana from it. Yeah, so I didn't read it very carefully, but apparently I made it so you get mana from damage reduction as well. So under the hood, there's some rounding. So apparently that was enough to put me over the next threshold. I've got 10 mana points. So Gerald is just going to go to town. It's going to be great. Anything else I want to do? Uh, Gosh, I'm just looking at these mana points. I could add a fourth party member even. Uh, I definitely want to do the, you know, uh, one, two, three, buckle, buckler, bucklist, and spiky shield. This Baron von Sentry is sort of maxed out here. He's doing pretty good. Uh, are any of these items actually good for my other units? Not especially. I think Brother Cantrip is just going to double down on being a pure support. Um, Divine Barrier. I don't think I really need it. Like I don't have any tanks that are sort of magically oriented. Like they might take incidental damage, which it could be useful to uh, defend against it. It's only 7 spirit points. But every time I tell myself that something is only 7 spirit points, you do that 10 times, and suddenly you're broke, and you wonder why. But it's okay. I did it anyway. So 9 damage reduction. Uh, that's nothing to scoff at. I think that could actually come in handy. And it's only, yeah, it's going to be good. Um, what else? This bastard spell sword. That's like if you invest in melee or you invest in magic and you want to get some benefit in the other one, it averages the two and uses that in place of whichever of those two stats is lower. So, in theory, I could take the bastard spell sword, and once my magic is super high, I could start hitting them with melee attacks at the end. But I don't think I'm going to do that. It's kind of an interesting option for some characters, but not especially this one. Uh, and I'm not really going all out melee damage with anybody. Like Zombie Mozart, uh, maybe with a rebuke. That scales off of melee, but I'm probably just going to use advanced most of the time. Rebuke scales off of does damage based on melee damage reduction and damage reflection. Uh, so if you want to do a little bit more damage, you do rebuke. If you just want to block, and if you need to bypass the enemies, damage reduction or damage reflection, advance does that as well. It's very consistent. Because advance is fairly strong, I don't necessarily need to increase my melee here. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. A lot of options, maybe too many options, but that's okay. What I really want to do here to prepare is I think I'm gonna take some lizard's tails. So what this does is it regenerates 100% of your health gradually. It's like the opposite of poison. So Zombie Mozart if Zombie Mozart takes a ton of hits but keeps using Lizard's Tail, it completely, well, in these late game battles, you could end up taking a lot of hits, especially if you don't have anyone else in your front line. So that 100% can get eaten up pretty quickly in some situations. So You'd be kind of surprised maybe how fast this can get used up. So I'm gonna take three. Do I want to take a fourth? Sure. I'm gonna take a mana potion just in case, but I've got a ton of mana. Health potions are very strong. Enlighten is an option. It's you heal an ally and you cause them to guard. It's based on your magic stat. I don't want to use all of these. And I don't want to explain all of them either, so that's good enough. Let's add one more unit. Maybe do I want a little bit more frontline? Maybe. I mean, somebody we haven't seen yet, but I'd like somebody to actually be able to take a hit. Or I could keep Minotaur in the battle maybe. Uh, yeah, let's add one more. Let's start with. Okay, make sure we have the right unit selected. We want to split it up a little bit. Let's put Minotaur here. And let's use Vampire Jaco Pastorius. So I've got some lifesteal. There's a small penalty to health. Well, not small, but kind of medium, like 15% penalty from Jaco Pastorius, but I think Minotaur gets a bonus, so it kind of balances out, but I still need to invest. I need to invest. I think I just want to build full melee. There is some magical scaling for Vampire Jaco Pastorius, but he's not like Gerald Atricus is my kind of my primary damage dealer. This might be my second. In this battle, he's going to be a little bit secondary, so I'm just going to give him a Gladius. Uh, he has this skill called Blood Frenzy that I might end up using just for fun. So maybe I'll with the Bastard Spell Sword, you get a lot of benefit for only 7 spirit points. So I think I'll do that. So the way that works, because it's based on the average uh, and it only buffs the lower one, you just want to raise the higher one really high and leave the lower one kind of low. So you see, you still get a little bit of benefit, but it's probably not worth it. I'm just gonna leave it there. Got a lot of health. Looks like I got a pretty healthy party. I think Brother Cantrip is kind of the one who's most likely to die, and the way things are now. I think this is pretty survivable. I can't afford any more souls. Your first soul costs 10. Your second soul costs 20. The third one costs 30. And I've already spent it all. So I thought about maybe including Deathwing, but maybe, uh, I mean, you only have so much to work with, and I think we're pretty good. So maybe I overanalyzed that a bit, but let's go for it. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, so you can see I've taken a lot of damage already. Looks like they're all ganging up on Brother Cantrip, which isn't very nice. So Brother Cantrip is not does not have a very high magic stat, so the heal would be pretty inadequate to handle the amount of hurt that he just received. So he's just gonna he can already use an entire health potion on turn 1 based on how hurt he is. So that's pretty rough, but we're gonna scale. So I feel pretty good right now. So let's do it. Let's start that. Well, before I start doing that, maybe I want to. Is there anything I really want to block? It looks like the archers already got to go first. I think their initiative was just really high. Yeah, so on way. Oh, there's this generic ninja. I think the generic ninja probably contributed the most initiative. So it's that's going to be painful. They're going to get a lot of turns back to back early on. So it's going to be pretty hard to actually block anything useful. But let's do it anyway. Let's use advance. I can't do rebuke because the back row is full. Rebuke knocks them into the back row, so advance is the only option here. So Arbalest Steer. So who hit Zombie Mozart? The Knight. Okay. The Knight of Cannon Fodder. 46 melee, so that guarding was pretty useful, I guess. But yeah, I really want to. This unit who has 4 souls, that's kind of the centerpiece of this late game battle, is you're fighting an enemy with 4 souls. It would really be nice to be able to take that unit down. So the issue here is it's a tough choice. Don't want to do a basic melee attack, or do I want to go berserk? You know, there's 50-50 chance that I hit the high priority target. I would love for that to happen, but maybe it just doesn't happen. Um, so let's see. Well, let's look at damage reflection. So the problem with berserk is that it does a lot more damage reflection, but their front row doesn't have a lot of reflection. I think maybe the numbers are maybe a little bit undertuned for the basic enemies. They don't have a ton of reflection, but that's okay. There's one unit that does have a lot, but that unit is not in this battle. That's Chaos Turkey. Maybe you'll see that one later. Berserk. Oh, okay, I got lucky. I hit the high priority target. That's really really good. Yeah, so this is high. This target could be a problem if I let it get turns. Maybe I just want to kill it right away, which maybe I can do that. So let's look at my options here. I've got 30 unspent skill points. I've got 65 magic, storm cloud. I don't have target control, but homing bolt I do have control, but I need ranged. It scales off of both of these, and it's easier to just raise my ranged stat. So right now I would deal 78 over 2, like not quite 40. And brother cantrip with homing bolt would only deal like close to 20. So and I've also got 4 damage reduction to deal with, so I think 2 homing bolts is going to do it if I invest in my stats first. So I still want to be primarily magic, just maybe a little bit more ranged, and brother cantrip. This is going to be cheaper because I just have that much more to work with. So yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so let's minimize. Let's collapse that so it's not in the way anymore. I've already spent it. Oh, did I already use? Yeah, I used a health potion. I could cast a spell, but it costs 2 mana points. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Arcing Bolt. Flaming Fist is melee. Is a melee attack. I could. Oh, it does magic plus melee, so not quite enough. Flaming Fist by itself isn't enough. So let's just do Arcing Bolt. So it does 1x magic, but it also jumps to a second target. And maybe maybe I'd like to get rid of this mage. And I want to be 100% sure that Onway dies right away. It's just Wraithy McWraithface is also powerful, has a very powerful spell. If this essence bar fills up, it can cast its spell, which bypasses damage reduction and deals, it would be like 70 damage. Don't want that to happen. So I did homing bolt. Still wasn't enough. I thought I ran the numbers and it was going to be enough. Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, Minotaur. Oh no, Minotaur. Oh, Minotaur. Minotaur. Oh, that's not good. Minotaur needs health badly. Uh, okay, I think he survives. All right, and let's yes, homing bolt. I think that should be enough. Did I accidentally do something else? No, I'm pretty sure that was a homing. I just don't know why it wasn't enough damage. Let's look at the log. Gerald Atricus uses homing bolt. Oh, Onway lost 74 essence to the shield, so this. Oh, that's mean. I forgot that Wraithy McWraithface has a unique passive called Essence Shield. It's like Mana Barrier, but it's with Essence points. Um, as a player, what's interesting is that the Essence that is used to generate Spirit points that you invest into your characters, well, you can use that as Essence for Wraith's face spells instead of spending the Spirit points. It's a that's pretty interesting, but the enemy just generates that caster essence just sort of automatically over time. Uh, so that's kind of mean. Uh, how do I burn through that? It only prevented 7 damage and cost 74 essence. So uh, looks like I need to do like 30, roughly 30 damage would be good enough. So homing bolt might not do it, but arcing bolt probably is good enough. Let's go with that. Well, there's 8 damage reduction as well, so we'll see. It's going to be close. Oh, oh, we did it. We did it. Okay. I thought he was still alive. Oh, he died from damage reflection uh, on the next turn. So that's good. Okay. Now what? Now what? Uh, do I want to cast heal on somebody? I gained some spirit points here. Maybe I can, now that I have some more essence or more spirit points to work with, I can, with 44 magic, that heal is going to be actually pretty decent. Should I heal Minotaur or should I heal Jerry? I'm going to heal Minotaur. I've still got a health potion if I really need it. Let's use Stormcloud. It hit the Arbalestier. Looks like the archer shot Minotaur. I can scroll through the log to see that. Maybe I'm gonna just steal. Uh, it steals health like gradually, so it's gonna add poison, and then he's regenerating that bit of health sort of gradually. I can actually use a. I think I'll. Yeah, the enemy is basically running out of turns now, so it'll be fine. Let's use advance. You can see the poison dropped down, the health dropped down. Minotaur is kind of hurting a bit. So I can click this to rest. If you use a major action point, then it's 5% instantly. If you use the minor action point, it's 5% gradually. Really, I just need to hold the front line. This is going pretty well. I would like to kill this mage here. I need to do 38. This is an ideal use case for throw axe. So what it does is it's a ranged attack, but the knight is not blocking at the moment. So nobody's blocking. I get free choice because it's a ranged attack and nobody's guarding. And throw axe, it averages melee and melee and ranged. So that'll be 60 over 2, which is it's only 30. It's not quite enough. It's just it's just not going to be enough, is it? Oh, sorry, Minotauri. 32 is not good enough. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. So now that's 10 health. Did it die from damage reflection? I believe it did. Okay, so the Mage of Cannon Fodder used Arcing Bolt. And hit Zombie Mozart. And it hit Gerald. So Gerald's hurting right now. But let's cast Heal. The damage reflection finished the job on the mage. We won't be dealing with that mage anymore. So that's really nice. Zombie Mozart. Let's use this Lizard's Tail. Because we killed that first unit so quickly, I guess we won't really need that many Lizard's Tails. That, and I think I just picked a really powerful party setup. Yeah, this battle's going pretty well. I think if you get really bad luck and you have just the right souls on the enemy, and everybody hits the same person, it can get really hard uh, to live through all that burst damage. So we had enough tools at our disposal, and we had a pretty powerful setup, and we didn't have really bad luck. So I think we're pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of this one. Brother Cantrip. Oh, I was going to do this earlier, and now I'm going to. It turns out that previously I just wanted him to kill a high priority target, but now he's going to inspire Gerald, so he can cast another Storm Cloud. So that's a pretty powerful combination. I started with one strategy. I looked at the battlefield and I decided on something else. So it feels good when that happens. I mean it's really good for game design to sort of be empowered to sort of adapt to different situations. But yeah, Zombie Mozart. What do you want to do? I think I'm just going to keep using advance here. And Minotaur, he's going to self-heal. Let's do Berserk. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to do something else, actually. This Blood Frenzy. So what you have to do is you have to steal action points from an ally. You have to steal a major action point and a minor action point. But what it does is you refund your own major action point and minor action point at the end of the attack, and it costs 1 mana point, and it does melee plus magic damage. So he's going to do a ton of damage. He's going to refund his turn. All he has to do is he has to steal a major action and a minor action from somebody. Well, this Brother Cantrip, who's out of mana, just steal your actions and do a ton of damage, and I life steal. That's pretty awesome. So I'm out of mana, so I can't do this. I can't do the same thing again, and I wouldn't want to steal actions from Gerald anyway. That's not really Gerald's too powerful for that. But I can do Berserk because I'm also Minotaur. So that's pretty cool. Looks like the knight just died from the damage reflection because Zombie Mozart's ridiculous. Zombie Mozart has all of the damage reduction and all of the damage reflection bonuses just piled on, sky's the limit. And this Storm Cloud, it's just going to hit the same unit over and over again. How many stacks do I have? I've got 3. So look at that. It's going to do... It's that archer is completely dead. Never had a chance. Alright, so So yeah, that's more or less how that goes. Eventually, I'm going to build an entire campaign. I think I would like to spend a year on that because I want to. I'm applying for some jobs, and I'm going to move this to just a weekend project kind of deal. Yeah, but the battle engine is very, very far along. I just need to reroute some things so that it flows through a campaign. And what's going to happen is you won't be able to handpick all of your favorite people every time. It's just you run into them, you fight them, and their soul. If you win the battle, their soul goes into this state of limbo, and you can graft it onto somebody at your leisure at that point. But who you run into, what souls you can use, it's going to be somewhat random, and then what items you get are also going to be kind of random, and maybe in the heat of the moment you have to pick something suboptimal just because it's better than the alternative at that point in the game. So that's why I kind of rushed to include as much content as I could because if there were only 8 souls, then it wouldn't be that you would see the same 8 souls every single time, and your early game, you would always know that you can just wait, and then around the next corner is the thing you're looking for. So it had to be at least 20. Maybe twice as many would be nice to really, really force you to listen to your shuffle luck, and that's something that I'll keep considering as I go forward. But we got to see this is a very powerful setup where I sort of handpicked all these synergies to be among the strongest possible. But you play around with it, you find your own synergies, and that's kind of the idea. So hopefully that was kind of fun. Hopefully you got to get a more complete look at what I'm aiming for, why it is the way that it is, what's kind of cool about it, what uh, where it could go from here. But I think I've done everything I wanted to. Hope that was intriguing. Yes, thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good day. All right, bye.